Hey, everybody, welcome in to Hold My Banner. If you love this show, first of all, thank you. We appreciate you. Secondly, go check out 310 to Left, available on Nesson as well. The guys talk about Alex Bregman. Hey, look, he's signed, sealed, and delivered now, but the Sox may not be done. Hear more on 310 to Left. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and wherever else you get your podcast. All right, here we go. We're holding banners around here. Welcome in to Hold My Banner. Travis Thomas here with the walking, talking, triple-double himself, the legend, Ante Campbell. What's going on, Tay?
What's up, 2Ts? I'm excited because we're getting NBA action again tonight, and we're finally back after this long break, and a very boring one, to be honest.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, listen, I know we're getting the NBA tonight, but my mind's past that. I'm on to tomorrow night in Philly when the Celtics are back in action. I'm sick of the break here. Let's get to the Celtics basketball. And in fact, look, let's start there because I've heard every show, harp on what they didn't like about the NBA All-Star game and the festivities and the break and all the likes. Mm-hmm. And I know we're going to get into what we didn't like and some things we did like. But in the end, I understand it, Ante. Like, I get the NBA trying things. I don't necessarily think everything worked, but I at least understand that they're trying to make it happen, bro. Like, I do respect that. I respect the willingness to change.
Yes, I respect the willingness to change as well. But the thing about it is it sucked. Honestly, like the NBA weekend was bad. You know what I mean? All-Star weekend was terrible.
How do you really feel, Tay? How do you really feel?
I'm just being honest. I had to listen to Draymond complain about the format all weekend. You know what I'm saying? I had to listen to Shaq going off the rails, talking about using curse words, saying we're getting fired and this and this and that. And I had to listen to Kevin Hart talk too much. And you know what I mean? Watch Kai and Drewski play basketball, which they're terrible at. It just wasn't fun. You know what I mean? There was kind of some few moments here and there where the All-Star weekend was great, and I was like, all right, it might be back. And, I'll ask you more about that in a second. But, for me, it was just supposed to be about a celebration of basketball, and it really didn't feel like this weekend was about basketball at all, to be honest. So, I know how you feel about it because I've talked to you over the weekend about it as events were going, but can you just kind of give me your favorite moment from All-Star Weekend and your least favorite moment from All-Star Weekend?
Ooh, favorite. I liked, and I always like this, so this is kind of consistent, I guess, even though I've crapped on the dunk contest on the show many times. My guy Mac carrying it for 3 years. Like, I like the dunk contest, and I have because of Mac McClung. So I would say Friday and Saturday festivities, Ante, I liked. I like the dunk contest. I like the three-point contest, the skills challenge, celebrity game, all that stuff, rising stars, all that stuff thrown into a pot like gumbo. I could dig it. What I didn't like, you said what I liked and didn't like. What I didn't like was Sunday itself, like the All-Star game. And again, I don't want to be like everyone else and just harp on how bad it was. Like, I hear you. Like, of course it sucked, but I think my like respect for the NBA trying to make it work overshadows how bad the product was. Does that make sense, Ante?
Yeah, that's understandable. I'm with you. My favorite part of the weekend was the dunk contest. Mac McClung put on the show. I couldn't believe. I thought he was out of dunks. I was like, we've seen it all. You know what I mean? What else could this kid do that we haven't seen? You know what I mean? Yeah. And he came out and surprised everybody once again. Stephon Castle, who I told you was going to win the dunk contest, he didn't win. And Manu was on Twitter saying that he felt like Stephon Castle should have won. But, Manu admitted that he's biased, and he is biased. But, those two coming out and putting on the performances that they did, because Stephon Castle, even though he lost, it wasn't a slouch performance. He had a great All-Star dunk contest performance as well. So those two putting on the show was great. It wasn't, Levine and AG, but it was like the second coming of that. It was close, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there probably should have been an extra dunk. I wish they would have gave them both 50s in the championship round, so we could have got at least an extra dunk, because I feel like both of them had a little something left on the table. But yeah, I'm with you. As far as the ending of it, Sunday really slowed us down. I liked Rising Stars as well, but there was a lot of momentum where I was like, I got to the dunk contest and I took back my words. I was on Twitter, I was like, another boring event. Let me go to sleep. And then Mac and Stefan woke me up, and so now I have energy going into Sunday, and I expect there to be something grand, and
Yeah.
it just didn't hit the mark.
Yeah, I mean, bro, you're talking about guys who should have won. Let me give you one who should have won, and we'll hear from him in 10
Uh
seconds.
oh.
Jason Tatum should have won the GDAM All-Star Game MVP.
MVP. Yeah,
They
you did call
gave
that.
it. They gave it to Steph. I did call that, and I bet
Mhm.
on it, by the way. So I'm not bitter at all, right? It always
Right.
goes back to gambling with me, Ante. But he should have won that MVP in that game. They
Yeah.
gave it to Steph because it was in the Bay. In fact, you know what, Ante, since we're talking about what we liked, what we didn't like, let's hear from the should have been All-Star Game MVP, Jason Tatum, on his thoughts of the All-Star Game.
With the new format change, did the game feel more competitive compared to past All-Star games? And last year, you set the All-Star scoring record. How did your approach differ from this performance?
The format was cool. I think the toughest part, like they stopped the game to do the presentation while we was kind of like halfway through it. Whatever, we were sitting down for 20 minutes, whatever it was. It's kind of tough to get back into the game after that. But besides that, I thought it was cool. First two games were pretty competitive or whatever. So if they could just find a way to, not have that long intermission in between the games.
Okay,
or during the
Tay,
game.
it should be noted here, because you did the math on this, if I'm not mistaken. The break Jason Tatum's talking about was longer than the actual gameplay. Is that right? Didn't you tell me that?
Yeah, it was. So the break that they took to celebrate inside the NBA, which isn't going away, it's just changing from one station to another station. So we will have inside the NBA next season, but they were, celebrating their accomplishment, and they won't be at All-Star Weekend anymore. So whatever. But that break was 18 minutes, Travis. The gameplay that they played in the championship game, the game that they played to 40, where the Shaq OGs won, was 11 minutes and 40 seconds.
Wow.
So we had to hear Kevin Hart and
Right.
Shaq and all these other dudes celebrating. Literally, Jaylen Brown, who will also show a clip about how he felt about All-Star Weekend and what's going to go forward coming up. He was like, "Get him out of here." There's a famous clip of him online right now going viral of him being like, "Get him out of here." Like, they were taking way too long. And you can see in that clip that we just showed, Tatum was mad about it. And he wasn't the only one. I know we put him as the poster boy because this is Hold My Banner. We are repping those Celtics in this show.
Back.
But, other players were upset about this as well. So, it's a huge issue.
Yeah, I mean, listen, stopping and starting as a hooper or any athlete is not
In the
ideal.
middle of the game.
Yeah, it's not. It's not ideal at all. And this is one of those things where, even though I give the NBA credit for trying to be different and trying things, which I applaud, good for you, NBA. It's also someone in the room has to have enough common sense to say, well, I don't know if stopping in the middle of the game for 20 minutes is a great idea, Adam, talking to the commissioner. I mean, you just got to sort of think these things through. But you brought up Jaylen Brown. I want to go here because Jaylen Brown, who's from that area, Ante, he's from that Bay Area. He was not impressed with the crowd. And I saw a lot of pictures and crowd shots, even during the broadcast when they would take the crowd. And I saw empty seats. And I thought, well, so Jaylen Brown said, these fans did not really even show up and represent this thing like you would want to, and certainly like they would do in Boston. Let's take a listen to this, because this was fascinating to me, Ante, and I think it's a bigger conversation to be had on the other side of this. Take a listen.
The craziest fans in the world in Boston, so I'm sure that they would enjoy it. It kind of seemed like it was a little empty in here tonight. I don't think in Boston that would happen. So yeah, if we bring the All-Star game in Boston, I would love to be there, and I would love to participate. I think that'd be great for the game.
I mean, he's absolutely right, Ante. Like, I can't believe it's been so many years since the All-Star game has been in Boston. Like, it's crazy to think this is the best team in the league, champions. This is a huge market in Boston, top 10.
Right.
This is a top 3 franchise in terms of worth and all those kind of things in the league. It's just weird. How come it hasn't been in Boston more? Like, and you can't use the cold city excuse. It's been in Toronto. It's been in cold weather cities. So I don't understand why not Boston. Does that make sense? Like, I don't really get. And by the way, next season, it should be noted, is in your hometown of Inglewood. It's at that Intuit Dome, the new Clippers building, which will be great.
Yeah.
And I think, Nesson, at this point, while we're having this conversation, the powers that be, you should send Ante and I to Inglewood next year to cover this All-Star game, and you don't even need to put us in hotels. We'll stay at Ante's childhood home. We can bring you content from Ante's childhood home. This is a gold mine, Nesson. Are you listening to us? Is this thing on? Hello, are we live? All right, so Tay, your thoughts. All-Star game in Boston. It needs to happen, bro.
Yeah, yes, it does need to happen. I think that people were a little nervous after the Indianapolis one because it went so poorly. You know, there wasn't a great nightlife there. I know the NBA alumni were complaining about that. You know, it was cold. It was hard to get around. The city, you know, wasn't really equipped to do that because of the weather, you know, at the time. A lot of all-star events, everyone thinks, okay, basketball's an indoor sport, but there's a lot of outdoor events for the kids. There's a lot of family events. There's a lot of, you know, get-togethers. Everything happens outside of the gym that you need to be able to support. Now, where I say, okay, Travis, you're right, is, yeah, Boston has the hotels. Boston has the, equipment to host fans. I mean, Boston's doing it now with the Four Nations tournament, you know, and that's probably why they didn't get the opportunity to do it this year, is because, you know, we got Four Nations right now, which is going absolutely fantastic for the NHL. So the city of Boston would be a fantastic host for the All-Star game. The one pushback that I do have is, man, as an LA dude, I've been bundled up here in Boston the last month or two. And when you look at the fact that, yeah, they're going to LA next year, then they're going to Phoenix after that, you know, and they chose San Francisco this year. They clearly had in mind warm weather, able to do every single event without having to cancel or change it or move it somewhere else. I even remember you saying that, you know, you were thinking about doing some stuff with the family this weekend, you know, at the Four Nations outdoor events, and it was just too cold. And other people in the building here have said it was just too cold. So, you know, the NBA, especially in a time when viewership is down and all this talk about change and all this other stuff, they need to do things that they know that works. And that's the only reason why I say they haven't put one in Boston in the last couple years or so. But I do agree that I think it's time and that the city definitely deserves it.
No doubt. Well, listen, in addition to putting the All-Star game in Boston, Ante and I will tell you in 30 seconds how we'll fix the NBA, period. We have all the answers. But first, want to hear all about Boston sports? Check out Nesson's Daily Sports Podcast. Boston has entered the chat. You too can enter the conversation by tweeting at us, simply using the hashtag NessonChat, or you can also email us, thechat@nesson.com. Boston has entered the chat is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, Ante, now I tease this as we are changing the world in the NBA, but the reality is this is really your grand scheme, and then I'm going to break a lot of hearts with what I would do to fix the NBA. But I like I like your diplomatic approach here to fix the NBA. Take it away.
Yeah, and as you can see below, I think it's time to eliminate conferences. I think it's time to say bye bye to the conferences. I understand you're going to say scheduling. I understand you're going to
Yep.
say travel. I
Yep.
understand all of that because right now, as it stands, the East teams play the East teams more often, and the West teams play the West teams more often. But we have a graphic. Shout out to ESPN for their standings here for you guys. But from top to bottom, you see here is how the East and the West would stack up with today's scheduling. Obviously, this would change because, like I said, West teams would play East teams more equally if you were to eliminate the conferences. But as you see in the top of the bracket, we have 14 teams here that would be automatic ends to the playoffs in my scheme. You have 8 Western teams, 8 Eastern teams. So now we're going to have 16 teams total playing in the playoffs. So the 14 teams here would be the guys who are automatically in, just like how we have the 7 teams, or the 6 teams that make it in, and then the other teams battle for the play-in. So now we get to the bottom half, and this is your play-in teams here at the bottom. Now, I have it as the 15 seed through the 20 seed are battling for the last 2 positions in the play-in. And then in the red that you see below are the last 2 teams who are fighting for that playoff availability. All right. Now, in my play-in scheme, which we're going to show you my playoff bracket right here as it would stand today, the Kings are in the 15th seed and the Warriors are in the 16th seed. So they would have a first round bye. The 18 and 19 seed would battle to play the Kings. That's the Suns and the Hawks. The Magic and the Heat are the 17 and the 20 seeds. They would battle to play the Warriors. 1 game elimination there. Whoever wins moves on. Now, when you get to the second round, Travis, I believe that whoever faces the 15 or 16 seed, you got to beat them twice to move on. But for them, they have the luxury of only beating you once to move on. So the Kings, if they end up facing against the Suns got to beat them twice. But the Kings only got to win 1 game to advance. Same thing down below. If the Magic make it on to beat the Warriors, they got to beat the Warriors twice to make it into the playoffs. If not, if the Warriors win 1, they move on. And then in the championship game, you would have, the 15 or the 16 seed, whatever, the 2 teams battle in and out. And no matter who's in it, you play 1 game to decide who gets the 15 seed and who gets the 16 seed. How do you feel about that one, Travis?
I'm not going to hold you, bro. I was able to follow everything pretty clearly. I think the visual element was very smart by you to have the brackets, to have everything lined up, color coordinated. Hey, these top teams are in. This is a play-in. These are the losers that don't make it. I thought everything was easy to follow, and I don't hate it. I don't want to like poke any holes in this pitch that you have. What I love about what you did is you don't have preposterous things like, let's shorten the quarters, or let's have the TNT guys draft the teams, or like you don't have anything. Let's eliminate the 3-point shot. Like you don't have anything crazy,
right?
But here's my idea.
Okay.
And I'm curious how this fits into what you want to do, because I think it goes into eliminating conferences. I have a list of teams here. Call me the Axeman for this segment, okay? I am no longer sit up. I am no longer Travis Thomas. I am the Axeman, and I am swinging the battle axe. We're not talking about a little hatchet. I'm swinging a Excalibur battle axe. Think of me, Ante, riding through the NBA on a Clydesdale horse, and I'm wearing like a Viking helmet, and I have a battle axe.
Here
and this
you
is
go.
what this is. I wish I could Photoshop because I would make this. These are the teams I would get rid of. It's 6 teams. I'm getting rid of all 6 of these teams.
6 is crazy, but okay.
Yeah, 6 is crazy. Pelicans, I'm taking an axe to you. No one cares about you, even in your own city, okay?
Okay.
You're the Pelicans. That
Yes.
says everything I need to know. You're called the Pelicans. The Wizards, a team I covered, a team I grew up watching. Well, they were the Bullets when I grew up, but eventually they changed their name to a stupid name as well, the Wizards. Okay, Pelicans and Wizards. You should be axed because of your names alone, and your product sucks. Get rid of it. The
I
Hornets.
won't fight you there. I won't fight you there.
You can't fight me because I'm right. The Hornets, a team I grew up, had a starter jacket, loved Grandma Ma, loved Muggsy Bogues and Alonzo Mourning. But that was long ago. You
Yes, it
are
was.
irrelevant. Okay, your best player is going to leave you immediately the second he gets a chance. Get rid of you. The Hawks. I mean, listen, what are we doing? Like, you're one of the worst in attendance in the league, bro. Like, you don't win anything ever. Dominique couldn't win. Dikembe, bless his soul, couldn't win. Trey Young can't win. You lose. How's that sound? Your team's done. And the Grizzlies,
Just
who
laughing
I
at
already, I already know what you're gonna say about the Grizzlies. Trav, they have John Morant. Trade them. Okay, they stink. They're one of the worst teams in the league in attendance as well. Memphis doesn't even care. And then here's my last team, which I will give benefit of the doubt because I think they call it Jurassic Park, and their fans are great. And I just saw Drake, still upset, throw a DeMar DeRozan Raptors jersey out in the crowd. Like, I get it. You do have a great fan base, but I would still get rid of you two, the Raptors. Okay, that's 6 teams. Pelicans, Wizards, Hornets, Hawks, Raptors, Grizzlies. Get them out of here. Now, get them out of here. Now you go from 30 teams in this league, which is too many, okay,
Yeah.
to 24. I think this works with your no conference. So you could kind of like reorganize everything.
It does. Where I will give you pushback is the last 3 teams is where I have to give you the pushback. The first 3, okay, fine, whatever. They do have some history, but it's not that big of a deal. We can kind of get rid of those teams, maybe. All right, fine. I'm not going to give you pushback. The Hawks, the Grizzlies, and the Raptors is where you lost me. The Grizzlies, you cannot get rid of right now because they're one of the best teams in the league. Their fans aren't as rabid. Yes, you're right. They're not in our DMs telling us about how we're sleeping on them and all that other stuff. But they have Ja. They have your boy, Zach Edey. They have a good team. Triple J was an all-star. You know what I'm saying? So they have a good team. They have a grit and grind culture. They have moments in history that I remember, and I'm like, yeah, this Grizzlies team has some fire to them. They have a fan base that understands who they are and grit and grind. And yes, you're right. Attendance matters, but I'm not really too worried about that. Hawks, they're an original team. You're not getting rid of an original team. That's just not happening. It's just not happening. I understand you. They have Neek. They have the history. They have Bob Pettit. They have guys all time that are going to keep them around. So the Hawks are staying. You can get that one out of your mind. And then the 6th guy, Toronto Raptors, are backed by Drizzy Drake himself. They are the team of Canada. They do have people that are rabid about the Toronto Raptors. They have a great fan base. Even when they suck, they still have a top half in attendance, which means jersey sales. With Drake there doing the OVO jerseys, that means jersey sales. The NBA is always going to keep them, man, even if they're not good right now. And they just recently won a championship compared to all the other teams that you brought up. So, no. But if we could quickly go back to that graphic with the full standings, because I need to show Travis Thomas something here. Look, bro, if we're talking about matchups and viewership, I mean, you look at this and it looks like a March Madness bracket because it's a 1 through 16 that would make it in. And I got Warriors Cavs again off rip. You know what I'm saying? I got who else? Lakers Clippers in the first round. You know what I'm saying, Travis? I got Bucks Knicks. I got Giannis in the Garden first round. You know, that's a great matchup. We got a lot of great matchups here. Even Rockets Pacers would be a great matchup. You know, even as I look down, what is that? Memphis versus Dallas. That would be a great matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of great basketball to be played here. And I even remember Detroit versus Boston. I know people are going to say, "Oh, Detroit," and I'm surprised that they're here. But Cade Cunningham has had some great battles in here, in TD Garden against the Celtics. That would be a fun first round matchup. Now, the Celtics would beat them in 4, but I think every game would be a battle. You know what I'm saying? So I can't sit here and say no to you without telling you, like, we got some great basketball with the way it's setting up already. Why get rid of these teams? You know what I'm saying? So that's my only thing.
I loved all those matchups. And in fact, just hearing you talk about Pistons Celtics took me back to my childhood when, the Bad Boys Pistons against all these great Celtics teams like Larry Bird and all these guys. Like, bro, that is classic NBA. When I think
Right.
NBA, Pistons Celtics, that's classic stuff. You know what's not classic? Wizards Pelicans. You know what I mean? Like, what does that evoke? What emotion does Wizards Pelicans evoke except indigestion is what it evokes in me. And so where I am excited, my friend, where I do give you your flowers, you did not allow me to come in and whack all the teams that I wanted to, wielding a giant battle axe. However, you did give me some teams that I can do, and that makes me happy. The fact that you are allowing me to come in and have pure destruction in the NBA is exactly what I live for, my friend. In fact, while we're on the topic here of losers, in 30 seconds, Ante and I will lay out for you the top players in this league who made all the money in the world, but in the end really weren't worth a damn. We'll explain. We'll explain. But first, you want the latest on the Patriots and the NFL? We'll tell you what Mike Vrabel and the Pats should do with the 4th pick in the NFL draft on Nesson's football podcast, Foxborough Rush. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. Ante, you gotta give me props for that tease. That was a hell of a tease, dog.
It was so.
That was a solid tease.
It was so rude, bro. Like,
it was so rude. I know. It's the battle axe. I'm talking about, like, coming in and being a Viking. Like, I think that just has me in that zone, bro. So what do you got for me? You know I'm terrible at games. I know you got a game for me.
Yes, of course. I got a game for you. I want to talk about if you can find the highest paid players who were never NBA All-Stars. So shout out to Clutch Points. They made a list of 9 players, but we're only asking for the top 5 here, Travis. All right. So the top 5 highest paid players who were never NBA All-Stars.
Yeah, I'm going to be really bad at this because I don't know the top 5. I'll tell you one I covered that I remember this being a thing was Otto Porter Jr. With the Wizards, who made so much money, Ante. Like, I don't know his career earnings, but it was a lot, and he was never worth any of that money. So he's got to be one. I don't think he's top 5 though. I don't think he's made that much money.
He's not top 5, but that you're thinking in the right ballpark. All right. Now, 3 of these guys are Western Conference guys, and 2 of these guys are Eastern Conference.
That does not help me at all. Let me go. This is how I'm good at these games sometimes. I'm going to give you the scrubbiest scrubs I can think of that got paid a lot of money, and you tell me if they made the top 5.
Okay, and I also want to give you this hint.
Okay.
All 4 of them are current NBA players. There's only one who recently, I don't know if he's retired technically, but he's not currently in the NBA.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, then my list is way different in my head. Okay. Here's a scrubbiest scrub that I wonder. I know he hasn't made an All-Star team, but he's made a ton of money on and off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Off the floor for different reasons. Is Tristan Thompson on this list at all?
Tristan Thompson is not a part of this
Okay.
list. He is not in the top 9.
That's a guy, dude, that's made so much money that just is like, what are we doing?
Yes.
Is your boy Nick Batum? Is he in the top 5? He's another scrub.
You are correct. Number 4 is Nick Batum.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
bro. I just wish I was taller. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. Because these guys suck. I mean, he sucks.
Yes. But you're in the right. You're in the right. You're in the right headspace now. That is number 4.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I actually like this guy. I don't think he's a scrub, but I think he's overpaid.
Okay.
Where I don't know, I think he maybe has made one All-Star game. Is Harrison Barnes on the list?
Yes, you are right. Number 3 is Harrison Barnes. He made
that makes sense.
$204 million over his career so far. So
that makes sense. He's made a lot of money. I am a little bit surprised he didn't make one All-Star team. Like he feels like back a fringe guy.
Back in those Warriors days, he should have got one, like how the Cavaliers have 3 guys or how the Hawks back in the day had 4 guys. He definitely should have made one, but he's sitting there at number 3. All right. So you got 4 and 3 down. So just 1, 2, and 5. And 5 is a tough one. 5 is a tough one.
All of these are tough. I stink at these games.
What about this? Think about guys. Actually, one of the guys plays for one of the teams that you want to eliminate. How about that?
One of the guys plays for one of the teams I want to eliminate.
Yeah, and he's actually surprising. Like he's how you were talking about Harrison Barnes. He probably should have made it as an All-Star, but early on in his career, he was playing for a team so bad, and he had another All-Star on his team that he couldn't make it.
Wow, you gave me a lot there. I think I might be picking up who you're putting down. Early in his career, he played with another All-Star that overshadowed him.
Yep.
And now he's on a team I want to get rid of.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's old. This guy's old.
Yeah, he's older. He's an older guy in the league.
CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum's number 2.
He never made an All-Star team?
He never made an All-Star team. He's made $248 million over his career so far, and he sits here at 2nd. So now we're just missing number 1 and number 5. Number 1 gets a lot of slack for being not getting paid a lot, but not playing well. He's played in a myriad of different places throughout his career, but he's played for, I don't know, like I want to say, I don't know. I can't, like, they've actually both played for, I'll tell you this, they've both played for the Clippers. Both of these guys have played for the Clippers at one point or another.
Okay. I think I might know who it is, but I don't believe he didn't make one All-Star. Did this player you're talking about play for the 76ers too?
Yep.
Yeah. He's fleeced a lot.
He's playing good this year, though. I like him in the vet role. He's been being a good vet, and it's going towards why I said I was surprised that team was sitting there in the playoffs position that they were in the last segment. But yeah, bro, go ahead. Who do you think it is?
I know who it is. He has fleeced so many teams. I'm just having a hard time believing. Like he's had he's had All-Star years. Like it's weird that it's got to be Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris is number one.
Yeah.
I remember, there was a year that he had, I want to say in Philly, where he was shooting like 40, 50, 90, and he was like at like 20 a game or something like that, I want to say. I can't remember what it was on top of my head, but he was definitely one of those guys at a time where we were like snub, snub, snub. We don't say that anymore. But yeah, Tobias
Yeah.
Harris, $273 million over his career. He is number one. Number 5 is the toughest one, Travis. This guy is a foreign player. I will give you that. He's a foreign player, recently retired. He played his last season in 23-24. He played for a myriad of teams. He played for, I believe, the Hawks, which is a team you want to get rid of, the Clippers. He also played for Detroit as well. He started his career in New York. He played for Denver for a minute. Played for everybody.
Nothing.
He played for the
He's
Wizards.
a journeyman.
He played for the Wizards. He played for the Wizards in 2023-24 for 26
Is he
games.
one of the Bogdanovich boys?
No, it's not one of the Bogdanovich boys.
Who is it?
This is the Italian stallion, Danilo Gallinari.
Oh.
He's sitting here at 5 with $202 million per year.
He's like Batum. Like,
I mean, not
don't
per year,
get,
excuse me, over his career.
I don't get why those two are on this list. Like, in a way of not all-stars, in a way of why did they make that much money? Like, I get CJ McCollum makes sense. Tobias Harris fleecing teams. I watched it happen. Harrison Barnes, like, I get. The guys I guessed made sense in my head, but even Tristan, even though he wasn't on the list, like, that's the first person I thought of who made a lot of money, who probably wasn't an all-star. But, like, Batum and Gallinari's like, huh? Like, really? Why did they make all that money? It's so
right.
It's just bad business. Those guys were not that good.
Yeah, you have to remember there was a time where they were both like the hottest role player that you could have, you know what I mean? And there was a time where either guy you could have looked at, and even Batum, where it was like he might be the third or fourth option on a championship team. You know, in those days in Portland when Batum was there with what is it, Wesley Matthews? Yeah, Wesley Matthews. They were both looked at as like those elite role players, you know what I mean, with Dame and everything like that. So, there was a time where Batum was looked at as one of those guys. I want to give you the rest of the last 4 guys that were not in our top 5. Eric Gordon, he made $183 million. Rudy Gay is number 7. He made
shout outs to Baltimore, kid. Shout outs to Baltimore.
Steven Adams made $170 million. He's number 8. And then Thad Young, which I remember when he was one of those guys too. But Thaddeus Young, $152 million at number 9.
Man, this is a lot of disappointing players right here, man. I mean, I think it's only right, Ante, when we come back from this break, that we talk about the most disappointing players and teams so far this season in the NBA. But first, Red Sox spring training is live and in effect. And everyone's wondering the same thing. Is this Red Sox team playoff bound this season? We know you have a lot of questions about the Sox future, so we asked players, coaches, execs, alum, you name it, those same questions on Nesson's baseball podcast, 310 to Left. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get your podcast. All right, Tay, I mean, listen, if we're going to talk about biggest disappointments this season, let's start with the teams. I was high on the 76ers. You were high on the Suns. Both of us have been wrong. So, I mean, for a conversation for a combo between you and I, it seems perfect in a way to like, who's a bigger disappointment, the Suns or the 76ers?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have to say it has to be the 76ers. That's how I'm coming. It has to be the 76ers because coming into this offseason, we all sat there and we said they have all the cap space. They're going to re-sign Maxey, which they did. They have Embiid on contract, and the only other person they had on contract was Paul Reed, who I don't remember how they got him off a contract or whatever, but, they got him out of there. So they had 2 stars and a world full of money to go get whoever they want. Paul George was available. Paul George had did some great things as a Clipper. I know he got a lot of slack for not being healthy and available, but for the deepest playoff run that the Clippers have ever had in their organization's history, it was on the back of Paul George because Kawhi was out. There was no James Harden at the time. You know what I'm saying? So it was just PG and a bunch of guys, Reggie Jackson and, other guys running around. So Paul George was looked at as a good asset that you could get, and he could be a third option on this 76ers team, and they are at the bottom of the settings. I mean, we can go back to that graphic. We won't, but they weren't even in the picture. I had 22 teams in there, Travis. 22.
Right.
And the 76ers did not make that. They're not even in a play-in position right now. That's how bad the 76ers are. They have to be the biggest disappointment, not even just from our standpoint between Suns and 76ers, and the NBA, period.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to make you proud here for two reasons. Ready? Number one, as your OG, I was smart enough, we're doing these shows remote now. So, I came real close, Ante, to jumping on this laptop that I'm talking to you from and looking up the standings, and you would have got a shot like this. And you'd have been like, what's Strav doing? But instead, I was smart enough to bring my phone.
Wow.
And I'm looking at the standings while we talk. And you're absolutely right. You can't even find the 76ers or so. I mean, they're trying desperately to get into what I call play-in-ville in the neighborhood, and they're nowhere there. But here's another place I'm going to make you proud, because the Suns are in the same position trying to get into the play-in-ville, but they are much closer to 500. So I guess you and I have flip-flopped on this, where you came into the season believing in the Suns.
Yes.
And now you're saying the 76ers are the most disappointing team, whereas I came in a season believing in the 76ers. I now am going to say the Suns because, I mean, brother, Embiid never plays, so you couldn't trust him to begin with. Paul George.
Well, we knew that.
Right. We knew that. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Paul George you can't trust. So if you had told me crystal ball style, Embiid would be unavailable, and you can't count on Paul George, and so the Sixers are going to suck this year. Even though I was high on them, I was predicating it all on the health of those guys. So I could get it. But if you had told me same crystal ball that Beal, Booker, and KD weren't going to work, which is one of the reasons why I didn't believe in them. I just don't think that big three works. It's not cohesive. But if you had told me they would fail with pretty much the three of them playing all year, I would have said, I'm not buying that as much. And sure enough, here we are. So I think the Suns, in sheer star power, Ante, are more disappointing, because how in the hell do you not have, at least in Philly, two out of my big three you can't count on? Injuries, big games, they disappear. But my God, Beal, Booker, and KD, it should, in theory, it should work, and it's just not working. All right, which player is a bigger disappointment? We'll stay in Philly. Paul George, or anyone else in this league. Just name. You can name whoever you want. Maybe it's Zion. Maybe it's Brandon Ingram that can't seem to get out of his way. Maybe it's Jimmy Butler, who whined his way out of Miami. But literally anyone else on planet Earth, are they more disappointing from a basketball standpoint to you than Paul George? And your face tells me that Paul George is running away with this award.
I'm not even going to waste time. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Paul George is the most disappointing. We were talking about all those other players for, getting paid. Thank God that Paul George made an All-Star appearance and a couple All-Star appearances, because he should have been on that list just based on what he's doing this year.
That's right.
I mean, this man went into the All-Star break and he scored 2 points as the third option. Mind you, I don't even think Embiid played in that game. So he scored 2 points as a top 2 option on the floor for a 76ers team, and then went on to enjoy his break in Cancun with his baby. This dude has been a disappointment in all factions of the word. There's no way that you are in Philly, knowing how those fans are, going into the break, scoring 2 points, and thinking it's gonna be cool to be laid up with your boo, like, hey, how y'all doing? No, bro, that's not cool, bro. So, Paul George, you are disappointing not only every NBA fan, but especially the Philly fans. And you're lucky that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, or they would be at your house every single day.
Bro, how do we get that kind of can we get Paul George's agent on the phone? Like, bro, we work hard as hell at Nesson, dog. Like he ain't doing no work. And this man is stealing money and in Cancun chilling. Like, it's crazy.
That bad.
It's right. All right, which team is a bigger disappointment, Timberwolves or Magic? I think you have to go Timberwolves, don't you? I mean, bro, like, this was supposed to be their time. This was supposed to be Anthony Edwards' time. They cleared space and the roster for him to be the guy getting rid of Cat. And, like, it just hasn't worked. The Magic are still trying to figure out how to win. I told you that. I thought there would be a little regression this season with them. And I thought they needed Klay Thompson this offseason to kind of bring everything together. They didn't get him. I didn't love their offseason. I just think the Magic are still sort of a work in progress. This was supposed to be the Timberwolves' time, Monte. I think it's slam dunk Timberwolves is the answer here.
Yeah, it's very easy. The Timberwolves messed up this summer. I've gone into very large detail about how much they messed up this summer, trading Karl Anthony Towns, then having to watch him be an all-star. I had to see a video of him and Ant hugging, and I was just like, dang, that hurts now because Julius Randle isn't there. Rudy Gobert isn't there. Yeah, they missed out. The disappointing part about the Magic season is that they haven't been healthy. Yeah, now they're sitting there at, I think it's 27 and 29, 2 games up below 500. And it is a little scary that a team that I was very high going into the season, that they're not doing so well now. But I can really kind of blame that on injuries and all that other stuff. There's nothing to blame but poor performances up in Minnesota.
Who are you more surprised by, Rockets or Pistons? I am Mr. Rockets on this show, but at the same time, I'm more surprised by the Pistons because you and I talked off season, and I remember laughing at you when you were saying they're just going to be a tough out this year for people. And you look up, they're the 6th seed in the East, for God's sakes. I didn't see that coming. I think the Pistons are the most shocking.
Yeah, I agree. The Pistons, 100%. And there's no shade. This is all respect to the Rockets team. Their team coming in with Ime and the young talent that they have, I expected them to play well, not this well. I remember, just being there and thinking like, oh, this team is going to be hard. I don't know where I'm going to put them in the playoff season, but I feel like they kind of should be in. And I remember having those discussions with you off camera. But, so this is respect to the Rockets. No disrespect to the Pistons either. But, yeah, I believe the Pistons are more surprising.
All right, as we get out of here, give me a League Pass game you're going to watch like we always do. And then let's also quickly preview Celtics 76ers tomorrow night, brother. It's in Philly. So give me your League Pass game and then give me the winner of the Celtics 76ers in Philly.
Yeah, League Pass, I won't waste too much time. Hornets at Lakers tonight. I know Travis is going to talk about Thursday night because he's already looking forward to it. But tonight, you get that Mark Williams, Dalton Connect, vibes, trade, dispute, whatever. That's going to be interesting to watch. And obviously, if LaMelo Ball is healthy and available because he had an ankle injury, seeing him in Los Angeles will always be a show.
I'm going to be honest. I would have loved a better, welcome back to the second half of the season than Hornets Lakers. I could care less.
The trade dispute is fun, though. You know what I mean? The veto, that's going to make it a little more interesting. Come on.
I'm going to tomorrow night. I already told you. We'll get into Celtics quickly, but I'm going to go Clippers at Bucks here. The Clippers stink on the road. They're very good in that building in Inglewood, but they stink on the road. And the Bucks we know are good at home. And also, I'm starting to believe in the Bucks. I'm starting to think it's going to be Bucks Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I want to see the Bucks at home beat a good team in the Clippers, but not a great team. And of course, Giannis and all. As far as the C's in Philly against the 76ers tomorrow night, give me the Celtics big here. I think this Paul George stuff we were just talking about, Embiid being Embiid, I think this stuff now is really going to rip this team apart. I think all year it's been annoying, but I think now when you get into the meat of the second half of an NBA schedule, it's make or break. Some teams rally and make a playoff run. Not this one. I think dealing with the drama they're dealing with Paul George and Embiid, can't count on them. I think it finally catches up to the 76ers because they've climbed out of a hole. Like the fact that they're even in Playinville is remarkable to me. I think the Bucks stops here. I think the 76ers get smashed at home by the Celtics, Ante.
Yeah, I'm not with you on that. I think that this is going to be a close game. Christmas was a close game. The last time when Celtics went to Philadelphia, it was a close game. I just think that we're going to get another close game here. Celtics struggle with interior bigs. When Embiid plays, he is dominant, and I think we're going to see more of that. So I'm predicting a little bit closer of a game, but a Celtics win nonetheless.
Not to sound corny, that's the kind of game that can carry over for the 76ers. If they can win it or if it is tight, they can feed off of that. I just happen to think they're going to get smacked up. For Travis Thomas, for Ante Campbell, we appreciate all of you for rolling with us here inside Hold My Banner. Till next time, when we ask you to hold it again, peace out.